wrec provides 4 scripts that aid in the development of wrec components. After installing the wrec package in a project, the scripts can be run using the npx command. To generate a .ts file containing starter code for a new wrec component, enter npx wrec-scaffold followed by a tag name. This generates the file tagname.ts in the current directory that defines the class tag name. Let's see this in action. Enter npx wrec-scaffold and a tag name like delete me. This creates the file deleteme.ts, which defines a basic hello world component, but the class name is deleteme and the associated tag name is delete-me. I'll delete this file for now so I can regenerate it later. To check a source file that defines a wrec component for errors, enter npx wrec-lint followed by a file path. A list of errors this script detects can be found at the top of the lint.js file at this URL. Let's see this in action. Here's the file rectanglearea.ts. I'll change the runtime type of the height property from number to string. Then I'll change the reference to this .height inside the getArea method to be spelled incorrectly. Enter npx wrec-lint rectanglearea.ts. This outputs a list of error messages. The first message says that on line 7, the property height has a default value of 5, but the declared type is string, which is incompatible. The second error message says that on line 8, there's a computed expression that uses this .height that has a type of string, but it's in an arithmetic expression, and that requires a number. The third error says that on line 23, there's a reference to a property HITE, which is not defined. Let's revert the changes in this file so I can test it again later. A TypeScript declare statement specifies the type of a property that is defined somewhere else, not in the normal way. The properties of a wrec component are described in an object that is the value of the static properties property, which is that somewhere else. Adding declare statements is not required, but they enable type checking in TypeScript-aware editors like VS Code. To automatically add declare statements in a given TypeScript source file for each property described in the static properties object, enter npx wrec-declare followed by a file path. Let's see this in action. With the file rectanglearea.ts open, hover over this .width inside the getArea method to see that TypeScript is not aware of that property in this class. That's because wrec generates the properties from their descriptions in static properties. Enter npx wrec-declare rectanglearea.ts. This adds the declare statements you see on lines 10 through 12, and all of them in this case have the type number, which is compatible with the runtime type capital number. Now when I hover over the width and height properties inside getArea, it is aware that those are numbers. I'll delete the declare statements for now so I can re-add them later. The configuration objects in the static properties object can contain used by properties. Those are necessary when reactive JavaScript expressions contain method calls that use the component properties without explicitly passing them. In that case, wrec relies on used-by properties to determine when to reevaluate the expressions. To add or update used-by properties in the property configuration objects, enter npx wrec-useby followed by a file path. If no file path is specified, the script runs on all .js and .ts files in and below the current directory. Let's see this in action. I'll begin by removing the used-by properties that are already there. Then I'll enter the command npx wrec-useby followed by the file path. And we see that those properties are re-added with the same values that I had before, but it was able to correctly determine that the width and height properties are used by the getArea method. I'll delete those for now so I can re-add them later. The wrec VS Code extension provides command palette commands that run the scripts we just saw. It is available in the Visual Studio Marketplace at this URL. To use the provided commands, the package.json file for the project that is open in VS Code must have a dependency on the wrec package, and it must be installed. Let's open the VS Code command palette and filter to the commands that begin with wrec:. Walking through these commands one at a time, the first is wrec scaffold. If I select that command, it prompts for a tag name, and so I'll enter delete-me, press return, and once again it generates the file deleteme.ts, which is just a basic hello world component with the correct class name and association to a tag name. The wrec::lint current file command runs the lint script on the currently open and focused source file. While this is running, wrec::lint is displayed in the status bar. When it completes, the status bar displays either wrec OK or wrec followed by an issue count. Lines where issues are found are marked with yellow squigglies, and hovering over them displays an error message. The issues are also displayed in the Problems panel, which you can open manually by selecting View, Problems, or by pressing Command-Shift-M. Let's see this in action. We have the rectangle area TS file open in VS Code. I'll make those same changes from before to add some errors. So I'll change the runtime type of height from number to string, and I'll change the spelling of the height property inside the getArea method. When I press save, it automatically runs the lint script, and I see down at the bottom in the Problems tab, it has identified some errors. And also, if I hover over the yellow squiggly up in the static properties, it tells me that there's a problem with the default value having an incompatible type with the declared type of string. In addition, if I hover over the computed expression for the area property, I see that height has a type of string, but I'm trying to use it with an arithmetic operator which requires a number. And if I hover over the reference to the HITE property inside the getArea method, it tells me property height does not exist in this class. I'll undo the errors that I added. The wrec::add declare statements in current file command runs the declare script on the currently open and focused source file, which adds declare statements. So with the rectangle area TS file open, I'm going to open the command palette and select the command for adding declare statements in the current file, and there they are, just like before. The wrec set used by properties in current file command runs the use by script on the currently open and focused source file. Let's see this in action. With rectangle area.ts still open in VS Code, I'll go back to the command palette, enter wrec: to filter the commands, and select the set used by properties in current file command. And we can see that it added the correct use by properties for me to the width and the height properties. You've learned about the scripts provided by the wrec library and the VS Code extension that runs them. In the next video, we'll explore how wrec supports sharing state across wrec components.